Hello and welcome to the second video of the We Bear All YouTube channel. Because, the podcast, you couldn't deal with our voices, so now you want to see our faces. He's not going to talk, he's going to speak mime the entire video.
I'm Teller. Oh. No.
You don't speak.
No, I'm going to speak. Alright. So what are we talking about tonight?
We're talking about DC mainly. We will be comparing them to Marvel.
We are?
Most likely, yes.
A little bit.
Well, they're both doing the same shit, so...
No. DC is trying to rip off Marvel shit. Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Batman vs. Superman. We'll start with the theatrical cut, and then we'll talk about the Ultimate Edition. You start with the theatrical cut.
The theatrical cut was
Shit.
confusing as hell. I'm telling you. Why Superman?
By the way, if you didn't realize, it's spoilers.
Yeah. I didn't understand why Superman showed up in Gotham to start, oh, there's a vigilante bat in Gotham. Superman's like, don't go to the light when it comes back on. Making Superman look like a dick. Like, hey, you don't do that. I'm the bully now.
Hey, you don't kill, I kill.
Yeah. Snap the neck. I didn't understand that there were a bunch of plot holes in the theatrical cut, and that's why the theatrical cut wasn't very well received. I don't think. I mean, it was just full of holes. Not that the extended cut is any better, but at least it's a more cohesive story.
How are you saying it isn't any better?
Well, here's what they did.
So much
All right?
better.
Okay. You got them over here?
What? What are you looking for?
Well, I'm not going through all of them, but...
What are you looking for?
Honestly. Graphic novels. You got a whole stack here. Just let
Dark
me...
Knight's there.
No, forget it. That time's passed. I'm not getting visual aids.
And Batman and Death of Superman's over there.
I'm not ripping apart this room.
You should.
They took, 3 graphic novels and then tore parts out of them and created their own
They took more than that.
movie. Well, I don't know.
There's Trinity, there's Dark Knight Returns, there's Death of Superman. Yeah, he dies. That's the main problem with this movie. Let's see, what else is there?
Well, you have a Superman.
Injustice.
We just introduced
In Man of Steel.
a movie before.
Which was
It was okay. And people were lukewarm on him to begin with. You do this theatrical cut that makes him look like a dick. And then, you spend 2.5 hours with this dick Superman. Then you kill him. There's no emotion there. If Christopher Reeve had been killed in the middle of Superman 3.
That would have made sense.
Yeah. Because I would have had an emotional connection with Christopher Reeve. But no. I'm not here.
But Batfleck was awesome.
He did a good job.
Batfleck was awesome.
Why are you repeating yourself?
Because Batfleck is awesome.
Really, my whole problem with it is just cramming so much,
Yeah, they tried to do what Marvel did in, let's see, there was the Iron Man movies, there was Captain America. They tried to do, all those introduction movies in one movie, setting up the group movie.
Yeah, and honestly, I know you say this movie shouldn't have been made, period.
It shouldn't have.
It should have been 2 movies.
But it shouldn't have been made.
You could have made 2 good movies instead of making one haphazard, plot hole filled.
I don't believe in doing movies where you take a hero character versus a hero character, or any big name character from Alien vs Predator.
I've never seen it.
It sucked. That's why I should.
What about Alien vs Predator Requiem?
Well, that was a sequel, so it was even worse. But I believe that it was. I'm not I'm not sure which came first, either the video game or the comic. But
I think the
either way.
comic.
And then there was
comic was first.
I believe there was a Batman versus Predator. There
Yes.
was a Terminator versus RoboCop. Like, imagine them making a movie out of that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but it'd suck.
I'd go see it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they were trying to bank on with this.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
And then, like
Freddy versus Jason.
doing the, like,
Freddy versus Jason.
making a whole movie about Hulk versus the Wolverine. Versus Old Man Logan. Because it wasn't really Hulk versus the Wolverine. It was Wolverine going off and doing some shit.
Well, the Hulk and Wolverine have always had a testy relationship.
Yes.
Anyway, going back 25 years. But yeah, that, and that's the thing. It could have been so much better just for the simple fact it had Batman and Superman. I mean, just Batman and Superman. Then you throw in Wonder Woman, who isn't given anything to do.
She was just tacked on. Like, oh, I'm here. Hi.
Yeah. She shows up at the end. She's pretty badass at the end, but then you're floating around with all these video clips and stuff like that. Like, oh, here's the Flash.
Here's the rest of the Justice League.
Oh, here's Aquaman. Oh, here's Cyborg, which Cyborg's dad's Miles Dyson.
Which is funny.
I don't know how long I can hold this. I don't know if anybody gets that, but
Terminator 2.
Judgment Day.
My line.
Yeah, Judgment Day.
Anyway. But it could have been done much better. Like I said, I don't believe it should have been made at all. But
Well, here's what should have happened. This movie should have been Man of Steel 2.
yes. Well, that's the thing. They tried to make it a sequel to Man of Steel, but also a Batman movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can't do that.
Which it becomes a great Batman movie stuffed inside a terrible Superman movie.
Yeah. I mean, Man of Steel 2.
Oh, and Wonder Woman's in there.
Then you start splintering out to where
You make the Batman movie, you make the Wonder Woman movie.
you talk about Batman. Maybe Batman shows up for 5 minutes. Hey, here's Diana Prince. I wonder what she does. And then you splinter off into a Batman movie and a Wonder Woman movie. Then you pull together for your Justice League movie. You go through all these adventures, all this stuff, and then at the end, if you want to kill Superman with Doomsday, boom, you're done. And you get more of an emotional response instead of, hey, I've been in 2 movies, I'm dead. Oh.
Now, I do like the idea of Bruce Wayne being like the Nick Fury of the Justice League, where he just goes and gets everyone. My problem is, it appears that the entire Justice League movie is going to be those, 3-minute after the credit scenes from the Marvel movies. That's what I'm worried about, because that's what it looks like.
Oh, God.
Because think about it, half the trailer was him recruiting people. Aquaman, Flash. I don't think you actually get to see him recruit Cyborg.
He talks about something about, there's a scene where he says to Cyborg, I've heard of you.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I can't remember.
And then, the other thing about the trailer that I'm noticing, they rip off Civil War so blatantly in this trailer. The whole, when Bruce Wayne recruits the Flash, they did the same thing in Civil War with Iron Man and Spider-Man.
And the other thing about this is you watch this movie, which is 2 icons at odds fighting each other. There's a build-up to it. A crappy build-up. Honestly. Because who knew... Shit.
It's Cherry.
Yeah. Who knew Batman could be... He's the world's greatest detective, but you'd think he'd be like, I wonder if someone's setting me up. And this is old Batman. This is almost Dark Knight Returns Batman, who's been through the ringer a couple times.
Martha!
Oh, God.
Why'd you say that name?
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. That rivals the Bat credit card.
even Mom, just, you gotta save my mom. Instead of Martha.
Yeah,
I guess Bruce had a mom.
it still would have been stupid.
It would.
But it would have been better than that.
It would have been easier to swallow than Martha. Because I'm trying to think if I'm in that situation, if I would yell my mother's name or yell, Mom. You gotta say my mom. Luthor's got my mom.
Well, the other thing is, what you could have done, instead of him freaking out over saying Martha, I mean, essentially, especially because he doesn't know who Martha is at that point. Does he?
No, Lois has to run and say, that's his mother's name.
Yeah.
Why'd you say Martha?
What you should have done, you have him say Mom, and then just have him stop and start piecing everything together. That's all you would have had to do.
That would work great.
Have him start, to realize he was set up.
Who writes his shit?
Zack Snyder, I believe.
Well,
let's see, who is the writer?
Yeah, he wrote it.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, what I was getting at earlier was, you watch this, then you see Civil War.
And it just pisses you off.
Which is the main,
It's essentially the same movie, except more heroes.
Seeing Civil War just made me more pissed off about Batman vs. Superman, because they pulled it off.
But the theatrical cut, not the theatrical cut, the extended cut was much better, in my opinion.
It filled plot holes.
Yeah.
I don't know if the movie was actually better.
I believe it was.
Not much.
The only thing is, the only problems with the movie are things an extended cut couldn't fix. Like Jesse Eisenberg as a whole, and the Martha
At least you got a
thing.
little explanation with...
Like, how does he know that someone's coming at the end?
And who's coming?
Well, I mean, you don't want to reveal who's coming, but...
Darkseid, however you pronounce it.
Darkseid.
Brainiac.
But Darkseid's a huge, Thanos-like character.
I don't know. You already killed Zod, you blew that.
No, that's Doomsday now. And they killed him too.
You already ruined Luthor.
You ruined Doomsday. Well, you did Doomsday right for the most part. It's just that you used him too early.
So really, when you get down to it, if you want to make this whole Man of Steel 2 they're talking about where they're going to do the character right.
Supposedly. Yeah, give him that long, luscious, flowing hair.
It's either got to be Brainiac or Bizarro. I think Bizarro's a little too much.
No, you don't do a big character like that.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't. For his return?
What are we going to do? The friggin' Toy Man?
I don't know. A better Luthor?
The Joker.
Oh, just nukes the entire city. I want that. I want justice. I wouldn't mind that plot line. I don't care if they just completely ripped it off. If I get to see Henry Cavill rip Jared Leto's heart out, I will be happy.
You think Marvel executives, because they're not gonna do what they did in the comics. They're not gonna kill Cap. They're not gonna.
They don't mind killing the entire X-Men though, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, that'll be a podcast topic maybe, or maybe we'll do a Marvel video. I don't know.
We'll talk about their shitty comics.
But do you think Marvel went to the theater to see Batman vs. Superman, and they're like, holy shit, I can't believe they killed him already.
Oh, you mean like the rest of the audience?
Oh my god. Because, the cinematic Marvel wasn't going to kill Captain America at all. I mean, but then DC's like, fuck you, we're edgy. Superman, dead.
Well, I mean, the thing is, at some point, Marvel's going to have to end it.
They'll just reboot it.
Well, yeah, but they have to end them.
Or maybe they'll do some time travel shit. Like X-Men.
That's X-Men's job. Which, we'll discuss more Marvel later. I think we will do a Marvel video later.
Marvel. Good movies. Shitty comics.
For the most part, yes. Well, like I said, we'll discuss that at a later date.
Let's just say Marvel is discontinuing characters. So it's characters that they don't have cinematic rights to, because Marvel is now a movie studio that also makes comics.
You might as well just say who it is. Because
it's the X-Men.
Yeah, no one else. the only other rights...
And they already did the Fantastic Four, which I could see Marvel being like, you screwed this up so much, we're not going to do anything for it.
What are they going to do? Use Apocalypse as an excuse? For it doing poorly?
It did better than Fantastic Four.
What about X-Men 1, 2, First Class, Days of Future Past,
and
not to mention Deadpool. Exactly.
Deadpool.
Anyway, continuing on, we'll talk about...
Oh, yeah, we were talking about DC, weren't we?
Yeah. So, we're done with this, right?
Well, not quite yet. Well, this Justice League movie is only going to be one film now.
Good.
Okay, so at least maybe the first 45 minutes of that movie is going to have to be Bruce Wayne getting them together.
The Nick Fury part.
You have to have some kind of entity that you're going up against. You have to introduce that. So that's probably another 20, 25 minutes.
It's not going to be Darkseid.
Well, whatever it's going to be. Then you have the issue of, is Superman coming back in Justice League?
Honestly, no, I hope not.
Well, then you've got to work that plot point into Justice League.
You know what they do? They just rip the scene from Batman vs. Superman off again, just have the dirt float above his tombstone or something. Does Superman have the Force now?
No, he did. Remember in the first movie, he puts his hand down and then, like, the dirt moves when he's about to take off, when he first learns how to fly? That's what that symbolizes. We know he's not dead.
Well, duh. But why'd he pick that one moment just after everybody's left to do that? Like,
he didn't. Zack Snyder did.
Oh, everybody's gone. I'm just gonna do this now.
Zack Snyder chose it.
Here. What are you guys doing? They just put me on silent. Bzz, bzz, bzz.
I wonder if he's in there pulling a bride from Kill Bill. He's like...
Now I've just got this image of him and Cavill.
He's hanging out with Pai Mei.
God.
Alright, I think...
We're done.
I think we're done.
We're done. We're done with Batman vs. Superman. And it's bullshit that Batman doesn't come out until 2018.
He had 3 good movies.
Which I own in Blu-ray high definition. Anyway, now I'm...
Well, you're the only person on Earth that owns those movies on Blu-ray.
Yeah, so... I also own this on Blu-ray, and I wanted to do these in order, because so this came out before that.
Yeah, it came out a week ago Tuesday.
Batman the Killing Joke.
One of the greatest... This one's actually on top, so I'll dig it out. One of the greatest graphic novels of all time. But if you open up this graphic novel, you'll notice...
There is no bat sex.
There isn't 20 minutes of Batgirl on here.
Shitty 20 minutes of Batgirl.
What's up with that?
I'm sorry, but the whole Batgirl thing, I mean, you could have done it right. You could have
written it a lot better.
It sounded like such a great idea, but as soon as I didn't even know anything else about it, as soon as I saw bat sex, it was over. As soon as I saw that, it was done.
There was an easy way to explain all that without having bad sex.
Yeah, without Barbara Gordon being this bumbling idiot.
Because if you explained it where...
And I would have gotten to see Nightwing, which would have been awesome.
Because this happens directly after a death in the family. So you have Nightwing show up, because supposedly Nightwing is more hooked together with Batgirl than Bruce is.
Yes,
so
he is.
You could have just had Nightwing say, look, he just lost Jason, he's being overprotective.
That's just how he is.
That's how he is. Boom, done. You don't have to have this controversial sex scene just because you have an R rating on your book. Or your cartoon, I'm sorry.
Oh, and plus, that entire 30 minutes has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it seems so out of place. And I think there's people I've heard that even if they haven't read the book, they realize that it's just like, this doesn't seem right. And then when it actually gets into Moore's writing, it's like, oh, okay, well.
There's only one added scene I liked in this entire movie.
What was that?
The scene, it's like a mid-credit scene where
Oh,
they show
when
her
she-
in the wheelchair,
when she-
going into the computers, going into her room with the computers.
The whole Oracle.
That is the only scene I liked because that actually shows her being like introduced as the Oracle character. Other than that, the rest of those scenes are terrible.
Yeah,
Well, okay, I'm wrong about that. There is another scene. You never saw what Joker did in the book. Like the whole dentist thing in the movie, you never saw that in the book. I did like that scene as well. Because they actually explained what he did. Other than that, the rest of them are pointless.
If you haven't watched it, skip through the first 30
Half hour,
minutes.
Yeah.
And then you have Alan Moore's masterpiece,
For the rest
Killing
of the time.
Joke.
With a few interesting ad scenes in there. I'm just glad they didn't show what happened after the end.
He took him back to Arkham.
Yeah, but I'm glad it didn't show that. Like, it ended perfectly.
Yes.
That's exactly how I expected a movie adaptation to end.
But people think that Batman killed him.
Well, that was the original theory.
That's the theory, but Alan Moore says no.
I was worried that what's-his-name was going to make it that.
I go by whatever the writer says.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it's Blade Runner. Then I go by whatever Harrison Ford says.
But the writer is the chooses what happens.
Yeah, but Harrison Ford talked to Ridley Scott. And he said, we talked about Deckard's not a replicant. Are we talking about Blade Runner now in this DC video?
Yes.
Alright.
Moving on. Okay, almost last topic. Suicide Squad.
Yes.
What movie did the critics see? I would love to know. Because they clearly didn't see Suicide Squad. I still think they switched Ghostbusters review scores by accident.
I don't want to talk about Ghostbusters.
Well, too bad.
I'm done with Ghostbusters.
No, because we had to discuss its failure later. Anyway,
On the podcast.
yes, on the podcast. If you want to hear about this, you can listen to it on the podcast. Because we need money. Anyway, I still don't know what movie they saw. Because it wasn't a bad movie. By any means. It was definitely better than the theatrical version of Batman vs. Superman.
It happens. Sometimes critics pan a movie and it still makes it tough. They're still making Transformers movies.
Well, that's just Michael Bay.
They're still making money.
I'll end it when I'm dead.
And I'm not saying this movie's the equivalent of Transformers, but
No.
I think
Those movies actually suck.
a lot of critics didn't get it.
How do you not get it?
Well, the regular Joes out there, it's got good ratings from those. It's just the paid critics that are like, what a piece of garbage. And a lot of people are complaining about there's no build up with the characters and
Okay, you want explanation about characters that have been explained for how many years?
people don't know who Deadshot is.
They introduced who he was.
Yeah, they did. Okay.
And Harley Quinn was introduced in the animated series.
Mom and Pop that's going to the movie doesn't know anything about the animated series.
But she's been around for years, that's my point.
Actually, she's probably a relatively new character. Because she was invented,
For the animated series.
yeah, it was early to mid 90s.
Yeah.
Deadshot,
But
it's
they,
been around since the 50s.
But they
Of
explained
course, he
Deadshot.
was in a tuxedo in the 50s.
but they explained that shit.
Yeah.
And they even explained Harley
I'm
Quinn.
just telling you what people were complaining about. I didn't have a problem with it, but I knew the backstory anyway.
And with the other ones, okay, what are you going to explain about Killer Croc?
Don't ask me. I'm fine with Killer Croc.
What are you going to explain about Diablo? They said what you need to know.
Yeah, they explained that.
And yeah, they even showed.
It was kind of a mystery with Diablo.
And oh god, what are you going to explain with Slipknot? What? There was no point.
And Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang. There isn't much saying there. He was a bank robber with boomerangs.
He got caught by the Flash.
Yeah.
He's one of the Flashes.
Yeah, he's one of Flash's villains, which is funny because he appears in Arrow. And I swear to God, it's the same actor because they look the same.
the character looks the same. But yeah, the only problem I had with the movie was the villain.
Oh yeah, Enchantress.
It was a weak villain and weak bad. The bad guys felt like video game. It's
like if you took the Resident Evil zombies and melted their faces off.
They reminded me of in Arkham Asylum, the video game, those the Scarecrow parts where you're in like this other world and the guys would come out of the walls, and they remind me of those guys. Very generic henchmen, which goes along with a very poor villain. I was not impressed. The whole plot was, I'm building a machine to kill humanity, and all it looks like is her moving a bunch of shit around.
Yeah, you never actually see the machine.
Yeah,
the thing is, that's the problem with Suicide Squad. What villain are you going to use? You've already got the big ones in the actual thing.
Yeah, but you could have made it better. I mean, the villain was the weak part of the script.
Oh, but Jared Leto was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I think they used the right amount.
Yeah.
People are complaining he wasn't in there enough, but I think he was in there just fine.
The only thing I mean, it wasn't really a problem. It was something to get used to. The fact that he didn't, like, just the fact that he wasn't very abusive towards Harley in the movie.
Well, they cut that out.
Like, the whole point of his entire role in the movie was getting her back. That was just something to get used to. Because it was an interesting idea. But,
it's a love story.
Well, I mean, they showed...
like Titanic.
Well, they showed one...
They even sink in the middle of the movie.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
That's the point where he's a dick.
Oh, yeah, where he leaves her in the car.
He's like, I can't fucking see you no more, bye.
Yeah, when Batman says her. I wish there was a little bit more Batman. I remember hearing that, oh, you're going to see how frightening he is from the villain's perspective. He was in it for... I didn't see any of that.
So he was in it 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't see any of that. I mean, I saw some awesome Batman scenes, but I didn't see any, like, how he would be frightening.
Well, the Joker and Harley reacted exactly as I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Harley would react to Batman riding on the top of their car.
That scene was perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Joker mobile. Okay. But, yeah, you know, the squad was good. I think when they're together, all those scenes work great. Until the end. Like I said, I think the ending was weak. The big climax with most of the problems I had with the movie were villain related.
And then the mid-credit scene.
Oh yeah, it's Affleck. Which kind of sets up, and bear with me, the fact that DC can do something that Marvel can't.
Kill off a hero?
Well, that too, but they can actually... Because everyone would love to see the Avengers take on the X-Men or the Fantastic Four show up somewhere.
They can do Suicide Squad versus...
Or whatever. Yeah, I think they kind of planted the seeds for maybe down the road Justice League taking on the Suicide Squad.
Well, the thing is, that scene was more like... I thought it set up Justice League.
It does, but he tells her to shut it down.
Oh.
Or we may have to shut it down for you.
Well, remember, the whole point of it was to face metahumans.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because half of them aren't metahumans.
Well, the only one's Diablo, because Killer Croc's just a sort of genetic disorder. I mean, a mutation, but, you know, he's just a big guy with bad skin.
Well, yeah, in the books, it was just a birth defect.
Yeah. And Enchantress, she's
a witch from a cave.
Harley's crazy.
Joker's crazy. Deadshot wants money.
He's just in it for the money. He's a hitman.
He's Zack Snyder in character form.
And Captain Boomerangs.
And he killed... and Zack Snyder's hit was Superman.
Jesus.
And Captain Boomerang, same thing. He just wants money.
Yeah.
That was his main thing. If I remember right, was
they just
robbed
want
banks.
Yeah. But it had a better. I know you're saying it's a better movie than Batman v Superman. As a whole, I've got them equal. But I think Suicide Squad is more rewatchability just because.
I would watch Batman vs Superman again. Not
I
the theatrical
will.
cut.
I'll watch it again, but I think between the two, I had a more enjoyable time watching Suicide Squad.
Yes.
And the thing is, they're going to come out with a unrated edition.
I'm just disappointed Nightwing wasn't in it.
Well, don't worry about that. It's over. Get over it.
I'm just disappointed in that. Lieutenant G.Q. Edwards.
But I think an unrated edition will probably kick Suicide Squad up. I wish DC would just release good movies in the theaters. Suicide Squad
was a good movie.
You didn't let me finish. Suicide Squad was a good movie, but if it can be better with an unrated edition, they keep toying around with these cuts. It's getting ridiculous.
Well, Batman's supposed to be rated R.
Well, they're not rated. No, it won't be rated R.
They're supposed to be rated R.
No way. They will not release an R-rated Batman movie.
Why?
Because they want the kids to go see it and buy toys.
Well, yeah. Kids will still buy toys for Batman.
No. It will be PG-13. I will bet you $100.
No.
Okay.
Hey, rated R Batman movie. Rated R Batman movie.
That's a cartoon.
It's a movie.
That's a cartoon.
DC Universe
Is
original
it animated?
movie.
Is it animated?
Yes, but it's a movie.
It's a cartoon. They will not really...
movie.
Fine, whatever. They will not release a live-action Batman movie that's rated R. In the theaters. You know what the hell I'm talking about. There's too much money to be made.
Wolverine.
Huh? Oh, Fox is doing that because of Deadpool.
Yeah.
They're releasing it in March.
Well, I mean...
Who the hell releases a movie in March? Unless you released a movie this year in February and made a ton of dough.
Deadpool.
Yeah. Did you enjoy that?
No.
I know I... Alright, let's do it again.
Worth it.
Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that? I know I did. So for all of us here at We Barrel, we wish you a wonderful August.
Yeah.
Back to school time.
Damn it.
New podcasts every 2 weeks. We'll put all our information at the end of this video, so if you don't want to contact us, you won't stumble upon us. So until next time.
You'll find us on Twitter at WeBarrelPod, Facebook, yeah, and on iTunes, We Barrel Podcast.
And on Hipcast, and on Stitcher, and on YouTube. Obviously on YouTube.
Maybe they bootlegged it.
That's probably NSA. It's the Russians. They hacked us.
Yeah.
But until next time, aloha, planet Earth.